Welcome to another chapter of the Tao Te Ching. We're looking at chapter 53, Tao is easy. Yeah, this is difficult for a lot of people, this chapter, I think, because it's going to take a lot of work. So it's not going to be so easy to get there, to get to a place where you are aligned with Tao, because you are currently under the influence of your parents, the education system. I've talked about this in other verses, right? You believe, and rightfully so, because you've been influenced since birth in certain things like the economic system, the education system, reading, writing, and arithmetic. You have these ideas in your mind that these are the right ways to do things, right? If you don't do this, you're going to be leaving people behind and all of that kind of stuff. So Tao isn't so easy when you are determined to be living under the influence of everything that came before this moment, right? So although we are going to read through this and talk about how easy it is to align with Tao, most people aren't going to see it as easy, because in order to get there, you have to give up. Like for me, I'm 48 years old. 40. If I were to have been living under the influence of all of the things that I was living under the influence of when I started getting sober over 20 years ago, like I've done a lot of work over these 20 years, and I can tell you right now that yes, following Tao is easier than everything else. And yet I still have things that I need to shed from my life. And so, yeah, but it is easy. Living life according to Tao is the easiest thing you can do. And let's get into this and see what it says. There is nothing simpler than to walk the way of Tao. The only thing you'd fear is getting sidetracked. And yet many people think there is an easier way. They pacify themselves with possessions and entertainment, distracting themselves enough to never see their bankrupt lives. They continue to acquire and convince others to join them in struggle. Everyone eating and drinking, yet consumed by starvation and thirst. Excess is a thief, and the victim is the true self. This is not easy. This is not Tao. It's so beautiful, right? This idea that, and we can see it. We can see, like, pacify themselves with possessions and entertainment. I mean, you're looking at YouTube right now. I don't want to sit here and shit on myself, but I'm just creating more garbage content for you to consume. If you were sitting quietly somewhere else, then and able to do that for an extended period of time, you would hear yourself, you'd be attached to the subtle information that your body is giving you. You'd be doing all of this stuff that would be aligned with Tao, and you'd go about your life in this way, aligned with the things that are all around you. And yet, here we are distracting ourselves. I mean, I'm even distracting myself by making this, and so, but that's where it comes from, right? They continue to acquire and convince others to join them in their struggle. That's what marketing is. Marketing is really, like, no one is going to market this. Like, I'm not even marketing this. If you came across this, it's just by chance. But marketing tells you, keep struggling, keep distracting yourself, keep possessing things, keep entertaining yourself, keep doing all of these things, because your life is bankrupt. And if you recognize your life is bankrupt, then you will change eventually. They continue to acquire and convince others to join them in struggle. Everyone eating and drinking, yet consumed by starvation and thirst. Starvation and thirst just means, like, fulfillment. Just means, like, I'm not satiated by this entertainment. I'm not satiated by this possession. I'm not satiated by this distraction. And so I go in to find more distractions, more possessions, more entertainment, and yet constantly come up short. Why? Because Tao is the only thing, like being is the only thing that's going to bring fulfillment. And yeah, there may be parts of your life in which you're doing that, but I bet there are areas of your life where you could do it more. And that's what we move towards. We move towards doing it more and more and more. And like in the last verse, like Tao, so to you, everything you experience is the child of your actions. So if you're experiencing all this bullshit and your actions are constant distraction, well, right? we want to start to measure these things out. There's nothing simpler than to walk the way of Tao. The only thing you'd fear is getting sidetracked, and sidetracked by what? Possessions, entertainment, distractions, influences, other things like that. Excess is a thief, and the victim is the true self. Excess in all things, excess in exercise, excess in sticking to your diet, excess in drugs, excess in alcohol, excess in education, excess in like your position in your homeowners association, whatever it is, right? Excess is the thief, and you are going to your true self, maybe not your identity. Your identity won't be the victim of that excess. That excess may very well be defining your identity, but that's not your true self. That's just an identity. And trust me, that identity, you will get tired of investing in that identity eventually. And you may have to double down on investing in that identity because you're afraid that if you lose that identity, who are you going to be? I mean, I faced that when I stopped drinking. It's like, well, if I don't drink, well, then who am I? This identity is who I am. It's like, well, no, that's what you invested in because that was a way for you to escape and distract yourself and to be something so that you could not be ridiculed or made fun of because of who you are, because those were things that happened to you when you were a kid and you wanted to avoid those things. And so now you have an identity of being an alcoholic. You have an identity of being a drinker, and you have this identity that you've invested in so long, and now you have to walk away from it. Well, how do you walk away from that? Again, Tao is easy. Getting to the place where you need to, where you can address Tao honestly, is not so easy because you are so invested in your identity. But all that's bullshit. Your true self is the victim already of your actions. So this is not easy. This is not Tao, right? Doing those things. Your true self is what's behind it all. And thank you so much for joining me for another chapter of the Tao Te Ching. This was chapter 53. Tao is easy. And I hope you see how easy it is. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.